Thank you, Dean Corey. It's a pleasure to be back at this conference. I was here just a few years ago. Many familiar faces here and many friends. But I think this conference is shaping up to be the best one ever. And I want to say about Dean Corey that he is, as Dennis said, well known not just here in Orange County, not just throughout the United States, but around the world for his spot-on economic forecast. And I feel fairly confident in predicting here this morning myself that the annual economic forecast conference that he chairs again this year will be a sellout. So I hope that I see many of you here there again. Since it's my opportunity to provide the opening keynote, I can say without hesitation that every one of these presentations is going to be a bell ringer. The title of this conference, of course, is Classic Dean Corey. Today we are staying on top of current trends and future developments. In other words, we're going to do our best to predict the future, forecast it, which is Dean Corey's long suit, his specialty. For my part in this exercise, I'm going to focus on just two of the many issues before us. The two issues that I've seen developing for some time at the SEC and in the accounting world. They are the internationalization of securities regulation and an increasing focus at the SEC on the largest unregulated portion of our capital markets, municipal finance. Ever since the creation of the IFRS enterprise, every nation has known that the promise of truly global accounting standards evaporates if there isn't consistency in their application, their implementation, and their enforcement. And so the SEC today is devoting significant resources to ensuring that consistency in a number of ways. They're doing it through the staff's filing review process of foreign private issuers. They're doing it through the SEC's collaboration with foreign regulators. And they're doing it through their participation in multilateral organizations such as the International Organization of Securities Commissions. Still, there has been a great deal of surmise about whether the United States will ever truly get on board with IFRS. Here is where following the trends can help us anticipate future developments, as Dr. Puri would say. 3 years ago, in February 2010, the SEC issued a statement that lays out what is the agency's current position. That statement makes it clear the SEC continues to believe that a single set of high-quality, globally accepted standards would benefit U.S. investors. The statement also encourages the process of continuing convergence of U.S. GAAP and IFRS. But last year, the SEC was seen by most people to be walking back from this commitment. In the summer of 2012, the SEC staff issued a report on when and how the current financial reporting system for U.S. issuers should be transitioned to IFRS. But the report only described a number of issues. It didn't make any recommendations at all to the Commission. As one headline writer put it at the time, does the SEC have the will to find a way toward IFRS? Organizing the planet around a single set of high-quality, truly global accounting standards is going to take a lot of hard work and determined leadership, or it's not going to happen. And yet, whatever the standard setters do, it is true that global markets really are converging. And as U.S. investors and U.S. issuers increasingly look beyond our borders for opportunities to invest and raise capital, it's critical that they find the financial information that they use is accurate and timely. One of the obstacles to that, as everybody in this room knows, when you are investing in your own behalf or for your company, is that there are a lot of different ways that financial information can be reported. And very often those differences are simply happenstance based on the issuer's home country. That's why virtually everyone agrees, at least in principle, that the world's capital markets would benefit from high-quality global accounting standards. So here's what I predict based on what has gone before. We and others around the world are going to continue to focus on a shared understanding of the principles of IFRS. And even before we achieve the nirvana of full convergence, we will have improved both IFRS and U.S. GAAP in the process. In the short run, we should not expect to see total convergence, but rather a robust, increasingly robust, and active process for converging IFRS and U.S. GAAP. So once again, surveying where we've been, looking at the current trends, we can paint a fair picture of future developments. I predict continuing growth of SEC enforcement actions in the municipal arena. And we will see growing demands to improve the quality of disclosure and financial information for municipal securities despite foot dragging by states and municipalities who are opposed to these reforms. The lack of uniformly applied, generally accepted accounting standards in the municipal market is undermining the comparability of financial statements far beyond any challenges faced in the private sector. I see the SEC using every ounce of its authority to try to deal with these concerns. There is also another approach we might see the SEC take here, and it's not mutually exclusive of more aggressive enforcement and regulation under the existing authorities of the agency, and that approach is seeking new legislation from Congress. Because currently, as I mentioned, the SEC is restricted to enforcing the anti-fraud rules of the securities laws after the fact, and to regulating the brokers and dealers who engage in municipal transactions, but not the transactions themselves. But the only real way to address these problems is through legislation designed with the modern realities of today's multi-trillion-dollar annual trading markets in mind. One priority in any such legislation is likely to be that investors in primary offerings receive the information that they need prior to the sale at the time they make their decision to invest. Another is that ongoing disclosure must be timely. Among other things, model legislation might provide that the offering documents and periodic reports provided to investors contain information similar to what they're accustomed to seeing for all the other securities that they own. These two issues, internationalization of the securities markets and the SEC's increasing focus on the municipal securities market, are just an appetizer for what lies ahead of you the rest of today. You have, I will say, quite a feast laid before you, and I want to congratulate you on participating in this exceptionally worthwhile program. It's been my privilege to tee it up with this appetizer and get you in the mood. But I want to say once again, this is an impressive group of leaders in accounting, SEC compliance, and corporate governance, and regulation. Because all of you work each day to improve our capital markets, I want to thank you for what all of you do, and thank you for helping us get started here this morning.